Hi guys, welcome back to Kamaudacity. I'm continuing my video series, My Childhood Was Awesome. This is part 2. So I'm talking about, the stuff that I remember from my childhood, the type of technology that we use compared to what we use today, and the other little things that make me very nostalgic sometimes about my childhood. So this video I'm starting with the floor polisher. So I know some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. So there's this thing called a floor polisher. It's a machine, and it had two brushes that spun. Two brushes that spun, so you'd plug it in, and so after you put the polish on the floors, so you'd wipe the floor, let it dry, polish the floor, and if you had a floor polisher, you'd move it around the room, and it would buffer the floor, shine the floor. Most people didn't have that. Most of us though use the coconut brush. Now the jelly coconut, the dried husk, you could get that, so you cut that off the top part and dry it and make it's very rough when it's dry, and that's what we would use. So after you polish the floor, maybe put some red oak in the polish and in Jamaica we are very proud, at least growing up in the country, very proud of our red shiny floors, extremely proud of the red oak, those beautiful red shiny floors. So you would put some red oak in the floor polish, put a layer of polish, and this usually happens like on a Saturday or a Sunday. Could happen during the week depending on your household and how often you cleaned your floors, but for most persons on the weekend, the whole house, you wipe the floors, wait for it to dry, polish the floors with your wax and red oak, and let that dry again, and then use the coconut brush, and just give it a beautiful shine. Then you could take a cloth or a mop and just buffer it some more, and it just looks so good, and it will smell nice too, the polish. Right, so that's something we take great pride in, and even today. But nowadays a lot of houses have tiles. They don't polish them anymore. They don't need to buffer them with the coconut brush anymore. It's tiled, and you have self-cleaning stuff, and that the technology we have now, and the chemicals that we have available to us now makes it kind of null and void, that whole wax polish and coconut brush. But that was a weekend ritual for us, right? The other thing, if you didn't have a blender, which many people didn't, you would use your grater. So the metal grater, if you needed to grate your coconuts, to make coconut milk for the rice and peas, or to make soup, coconut milk for your soup or your drops or whatever you were baking, coconut milk was a good thing to add. You would use the grater to grate your carrots, to make carrot juice. So if you didn't have a blender, that's what, so you actually had to grate the thing, and if you didn't know what you're doing, you would cut up your thumb, a lot. If you didn't know because it's very sharp, it's metal, right? It's like a knife, just with different holes punch up from below to give it that, so you can grate the thing and make it the consistency, so you can just add water and strain. So we actually, and some people today swear by their grater, still using it to grate the coconut, to squeeze out the coconut milk, whether you're making coconut oil or just the milk to add to stuff. Still swear by their grater, but the blender, it does the job as good or even better depending on the quality of the blender, but some persons still are sticklers for the old time ways and they will swear by it, and they'll say it just doesn't taste the same. You know, maybe it's all in the mind, it's just sentiments. For me, if I can find something that makes my work easier, you know, if I can use a washing machine rather than having to assign an entire day for washing and having to put 5 different tubs in front of me and using the washing brush and scrubbing. If I can use a washing machine, why not? You know, why put yourself through that extra labor just for sentiment, just for nostalgia? So yes, we have to take advantage of the technology as it comes, right? But it's good to think back on these times, and some of the things we can retain because it's better quality. The other thing, well, I just mentioned the washing machine, and that's the next thing I have on my list. You know, wash day was actually a day, and many people didn't have a washing machine, so we had to have our tubs, sort out your different clothes according to color or whatever, and you would take the day and be there scrubbing, then do a second wash, then do a rinse, second rinse. And if you didn't live near to the standpipe, you know, that's a journey in itself, getting your buckets of water. Or for those who live near a river, they would actually wash at the river and hang the clothes, spread the clothes on the rocks on the river bank to dry. For us, after you rinse, you'd hang the clothes on a line outside. We're tropical, so we make use of the sun. We didn't need any dryer. We just hung the clothes with clothes pegs. So you'd see on wash days, we'd have the clothes pegs on our clothes, and as you hang up, you take one and you pin the clothes. Sometimes you'd put out a whole line of clothes, and for whatever reason the line broke, and the entire line of clothes just come crashing down, and you know, you can just imagine you have to go wash them all over again. Or you hang them out, and as soon a bright sunny day, and you hang them out, and as soon as you hang them out, the rain set up, the rain start to drizzle. You have to take them up again and carry them inside. And as soon as you carry them in, the sun come back out. We used to say, rain a fall, sun a shine, devil and him wife a fight. Whenever the sun come out, and then the rain, and then the sun, the devil and his wife were fighting. Don't ask me how we come by that, but that's what we said. And that was frustrating though. You put out sometimes 2-3 long lines of clothes, and have to take it up back, or the whole thing tumble down in the dirt, in the mud. That kind of thing, right? Nowadays people, they wash and they dry, and within an hour or two you'll have a load done, washed and dry, just for you to fold and put up, right? The next thing, and sometimes you'd wash stuff, and if let's say you left it out on the line and the rain fell on it, a lot of people didn't like how the clothes smell afterwards. I didn't mind it. It had a peculiar smell when the rain fell on the clothes. Although, you know, some people in the country's rainwater they use to wash their clothes, so you know, but some people don't like the smell of rainwater on clothes, so they have to wash all over again. Or when you take up the clothes, they would hang them, you know, if they're almost dry, you could hang them indoors. Or what we used to do, like when we had to wash our socks or even undies, we would put them behind the fridge because the refrigerator was very hot around the back, right? And many of the refrigerators at that time came with some metal frames at the back, so we just hung our stuff there, socks, even the smaller items of clothes, we just hang it around there, and within no time it was dry. So that was our indoor dryer. When we didn't have access to the sun, so if you wash something in the night and it had to be dry by the morning, that's how you did it. You put it behind the fridge. And within a couple hours or less, depending on what the thing was, it would be dry. Alright. Now if you didn't have a gas stove, which many persons didn't have, or you just wanted to have both because some things didn't taste good if you cook it on a gas stove. Ask any native, certain foods, they taste best when you cook them in a Dutch pot, what we call a Dutch pot, and cooked on a wooden fire or charcoal fire. It tastes different. And so you might have a gas stove, but you still wanted to have your wooden stove, your wooden, we call it wood fire, that's what we call it, wood fire, to cook certain things. Or if you're baking your torta, your puddings, you put some fire at the top of it, we call it fire top, fire bottom, the wooden fire below, and then you put some on top to cook, so that the whole of the pudding or whatever was properly done. Alright, so that's it. If you didn't have a refrigerator, which we didn't have a refrigerator for a while, you had to buy ice. You had to go to the shop or buy ice from someone who had a refrigerator. I remember a short period where I remember going to buy ice. It wasn't much of a memory. I think most of it, my memory of childhood, we had a refrigerator, because I remember going in there to steal food. So you stand at the fridge door and you pour out the condensed milk and blow through the other, you have two holes in the condensed milk, and you blow through one so that the milk come out quicker, so that the whole operation took less time, so you don't get caught. I distinctly remember stealing things from the fridge. That's how I know we had a fridge. Right, so you would steal out the milk, you'd steal out the sugar, you'd steal out the Milo, the Horlicks. That kind of stuff was your routine as a child. Yeah, so that's the fridge. Now, the TV shows. So we had a local station for many years. That was all we had access to, was the local programming. But then after a while, they started showing some of the soap operas from the United States. And we would follow these soap operas and get caught up in it, and the characters were like people who we knew, and we'd be so upset if this one did whatever, and we'd be so happy. We were emotionally tied up in these soap operas. And then what we would find though was like relatives visiting from abroad. They would come and they'd scoff and they'd say, so you guys just that's where you reach in the show. We that was from last year. We know, so they would spoil you. They would give spoilers. Oh, that one eventually died, and that one happened, and we were saying, to us it was like magic. Like we're saying, really? So you mean to say, you watch the entire season already, and we're just getting this? It was like this phenomenon to us, right? So they were telling us about what was happening, and we thought we were watching the thing as it went along. We were following the story as it evolved. No. We were getting like last year's or 2 years before that. It wasn't until much longer that we started keeping up with, what we got was what was going on. And these persons used to come from abroad and set us straight. Set us really straight with that. Okay, so 2 more things for this video. They like on Sundays, the ice cream man. So the ice cream man would come, we call him Fudgy. So he would come every Sunday. You would hear him coming on his bike. You would get your money, or if you didn't save any money for that, you'd go and pester your parents for this, because this was Sunday evening, right? Special. And you would want your nutty buddy, you'd want your fudge, you'd want your ice cream cake. And these were delicacies for us, and we look forward to Sunday evening. You'd see the peanut man coming in, the drops, the gizzard, those kind of things. They would pass through on a Sunday and sell these things. The cotton candy, All of these were delicacies for us, you know. So we look out for him and really pester the parents. And many of them didn't have it, or they made sure to put it up for Sunday because they know we were looking forward to that. Alright, now the bus, the jolly bus. I always talk about the number 33 bus. Where I lived in Red Hills, our bus was special. It was, you could hardly get a bus, and when it did come, it was crammed, it was packed to not even, there's hardly breathing space. People hanging out through the doors and windows, right? And so that was something from my childhood that I look back at, I just shake my head. The torture that we went through on that bus, the number 33 bus, we call it the jolly bus, and eventually they had some more modern looking buses, but still the same torture. Remember, this was up in the hills, you know, very hilly terrain, very steep precipices. Yeah, so that was it was a grueling commute, And finally, I want to talk about the library. You know, we had a branch library in Red Hills, but when I got to high school and I had you know, heavy homework, research to do, the branch library wasn't cutting it, but we actually had to go physically into the library. For us, the hub was the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Library on Tom Redcombe Drive. We just call it Tom Redcombe. When you hear somebody say we're going to Tom Redcombe, we meant the library, the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Library. That was where the teenagers gathered for the little tryst, you know, if you like this person. So they would be outside there, and that's where they gather. The nerds like me, you know, we actually went into the library, you know, for research. You actually had to search through the books for what you wanted and then take it up to the librarian to be copied, you know, search through several books. The children nowadays have it so easy. There was no copy and paste and storing this and sending it, but no, you had to write out notes. You had to write out pages of notes, or you'd photocopy, and you weren't allowed to photocopy that many pages at once, right? We had to put in the work. We had to put in the work. Actually, I had to go in on a Saturday or whenever. Usually on a Saturday morning, you go to the library. You spend a couple of hours in the library doing your research, going through books, picking out what you want from different sources. So that too is another skill that we developed. Research skills, the ability to pick out the important things, which a lot of students today don't have. So, you know, these kind of things develop certain skills in us that today's generation takes for granted. Alright, I'm going to do at least one more video on my awesome childhood, my memories of childhood. This is part 2. Check me back for part 3.